Seize
We've actually
the
heard that
day.
from a couple people. What is SEO and
Yeah.
search engine optimization? Unfortunately, in our field, we use a lot of abbreviations, a lot of acronyms, things like that. That a lot of people will say SEO. What is that? You know, what PPC? What's that? A lot of times it's just industry jargon, but search engine optimization. So you'll have to excuse the formatting on this. During our transfer, it doesn't look like some of the fonts transferred correctly, but one of the things that Red Rocket looks at is removing, we practice SEO by removing penalties first before we really get into the guts of anything in your SEO, in your search engine optimization. The reason that's really important is because there might be a lot of things that are being overlooked that might currently be on your website or when you're building a site that may go into play with your SEO. So Google is constantly changing. This is no surprise to anyone. They're constantly having algorithm updates, be it minor or major ones. Most recently, the mobile algorithm update or mobile compliance, which requires your website to be mobile friendly. If it's not mobile friendly, it's a pretty severe penalty by Google. Two of the big ones that we're looking at are both Panda and Penguin. These are probably two of the most commonly cited or referred to algorithm updates. Panda really targets sites with low quality and duplicate content. Now, one thing to keep in mind on low quality content or duplicate content is you can sabotage yourself. Based on, if you just copy and pasted, say you had a website that was all about travel, and you were saying we're doing travel in Cancun and travel in Puerto Rico and all these various different locales, even though it's a different location, if you just copy and pasted that same content, be it a chunk of text or the entire copy that you've written, that is still duplicate content. You're sabotaging yourself, and Google will penalize you for that kind of thing. One of the other things that we look at it is the low quality content. Obviously, Google wants, the big buzzword with Google is value. If you can add value, you are going to rank higher and outrank a lot of your competition depending on the strength of the competition and their page rank, a variety of other factors that go into it. But quality is a big thing. If you add value, you will tend to outrank, with considering other factors, you tend to outrank a lot of your competition. One of the things that we look at with the second algorithm is Penguin. So it's kind of this balancing act that we would look at. So with Penguin, one of the things that they target is over-optimization. A really common WordPress plugin that we see used is the Yoast plugin. Unfortunately, with that, one of the nice things about the Yoast plugin is that it goes from red to kind of orange to yellow to a green, depending on your optimization. It'll give you hints as far as your title tagging, how many times your keyword is being used in there, a couple of different factors like that. One of the things, unfortunately, that plugin doesn't account for is over-optimization. If you put in your keyword 20 times into the content, it's going to give you a green light saying, you're good to go, you're optimized, but you're actually over-optimizing. Google wants to see everything very organic, very natural looking. If it looks like you're trying to goat the system, Google will know, they will penalize you.
What is an algorithm?
An algorithm is, it's basically it's an assessment of how Google would rank a page. So you look at a variety of different factors. You know, how many people, backlinks historically have been one component of that. Google's kind of shifted away from that because they started to see people abusing that system, where you would just go to, say, China or India, and you would purchase these backlinks. You would filter it into your site. And by a backlink, what I'm referring to is basically someone that links to your site and putting it in, like, say, Facebook terms or like a voting type system. They're vouching for your site, saying, I like this site, I'm going to approve it, I'm going to give it the thumbs up. So one thing that we would look at with your backlinks is that they are organic, they are natural looking, and that you're not getting into a situation where it looks like you've purchased 10,000 links from some random person in a foreign country when your primary business is done here in the United States. That looks really weird to Google and very artificial, like you're trying to overinflate the value and authority of your website. So Google has moved away from a lot of the backlinks. They've started looking at other components such as the quality of your content. Again, value, does it add value to what the user is looking for? And their search algorithms have gotten quite well. If any of you use Android phones, the Google Now feature, it's gotten to be quite intuitive, where you could ask it, who's the President of the United States? It'll tell you Barack Obama. You could ask the next question with Google Now still on, who is his wife? It infers that because you were asking about Barack Obama, you are asking about his wife. So it's that the algorithm has gotten quite complex, and it definitely it lends itself to this kind of semantic search where Google, if someone's looking for an attorney, Google infers that you may be talking about a lawyer, that you may be talking about legal representation. It's these loosely tied together words that are related to each other. So does that answer your question?
The short answer is it's a formula.
It's a formula. It's like
a formula.
Yeah.
It's like saying 2 + 2 is 4, but you basically what they're trying to get you is to like 10 and not above 10 too far and not below 10 too far and not right at 10, because of 10, if you're right at 10, then you're fake.
Okay.
So you're basically trying to add up to 10 but not actually be 10.
So the algorithm is the way.
It's a formula.
It's a formula.
It's the path that you start a search and it's the path that it takes.
No, it actually, we will, basically what it is, it assesses different components of your website, being your page authority,
Right.
how your security settings, your age duration of the website. There are a variety of other components that go into that. And so based on this, you could say it's like a bucket. And basically everything that gets put into the bucket determines if someone is typing a search for painters in Colorado. Depending on what's in your bucket, that can determine how you rank, because is it relevant to the person's search, or is it something that is just artificially inflated? So,
Thank you.
yeah, moving on to the next one. Why this is important? One of the things that we look at is Google has had this historic, they periodically will update their algorithms. Now, the one thing that a lot of, that you need to be aware of is that with these algorithm updates, things like, say, Florida, Big Data, Universal Search, these things don't ever go away. They might be modified or slightly tweaked in a way or two, but they never really go away. So if we're just focusing on Panda and Penguin, which you'll notice are right here, that's a bit of an issue because you have Vince, Caffeine, Universal, Big Data. You have these other algorithm updates that are still in play. And if we're ignoring what happened in the past there, you can still be penalized by that. And what we see, one analogy we would use is, say, an elevator to the penthouse suite. If we don't address the other penalties that may be assessed on your website or your business, one of the things that we can do is, just like with this penthouse suite, you can get up only so far, but until you have that key and you remove those penalties, that allows you to go up to the penthouse. If you don't remove those penalties, you can only go so far. You hit a ceiling. And you can throw as much as you want at the website, but you're still going to be penalized for those particular things. So one thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about today, these are a variety of the different factors. There are at least 200 well-known factors that go into ranking your site. These are just some of them. We have domain factors, page level factors, site level factors, backlinks, usability, social factors. Social is becoming increasingly more popular from a signal standpoint. Google is actually looking at, actually how do you engage with people on Facebook? Or is it just a stagnant page? Everything that you do online does tie into itself in some way, shape, or form. So those are a lot of different things. Reputation is another one. Depending on what people are saying about your business, that can, we've been starting to see more and more results from, say, Yelp, TripAdvisor, a lot of these review type sites starting to outrank actual local listings. And then even with local listings, we'll back up one slide here, looking at Pigeon, which was a hyper-localized search. What that algorithm update really refers to is, if I'm here in Boulder, my search results can and should be different than, say, if I'm up in Fort Collins or in Denver, because the same search results necessarily wouldn't be relevant if I'm here in Boulder or in Fort Collins looking for a specific business. So poison words, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about today. One of the things that Red Rocket really specializes in is looking at your content, making sure that it's assessed for what we call poison words, or things that can potentially be volatile to your particular business. Now, in looking at this text here, no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to tip the scales in your favor. Try as you might, you just can't get that coveted top position of Google's search engine. Truth be told, this might be easier than you think. Simply changing what you say, pulling out poison words from your content, you can unlock the code. Who wouldn't want an endless supply of free traffic from search engine pages? Or guaranteeing first results for free? Does this sound too good to be true? Well, it is. When you're considering hiring an SEO, why gamble on the future success of your business? Be confident knowing you've made the right decision. This sounds pretty organic. I mean, it doesn't have anything that, you would think would trigger things, but I've actually embedded about 8 naughty words, is what we call them, or poison words within this text. This text, depending on where your site is hosted, could potentially get you penalized. So this next one here, I've highlighted these words. So one of the algorithm updates, payday loan, that Google had looked at, one of the things we look at is, in your copy, are there things that could potentially send the wrong message? For example, no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to tip the scales. A lot of these may be construed as sexual innuendos. You have endless supply, or unlock the code. Those could be potentially construed as torrent sites or gambling sites, things that are intended for adults over 18 or 21. One thing that I've looked at here is, who are your neighbors? And this is a really simple search that we can do. It's called a reverse IP lookup. But one of the things we would look at on that is, who is in your neighborhood? Who are the other websites that are hosted on the same server with you? One of our policies, we've actually moved away a lot of our sites from GoDaddy. They're notorious for hosting a lot of porn sites. And so in that hosting, one of the things that we find when we do reverse IP lookup, I've just looked up one of a random website here. And one of the things you find on it are all of these websites. And I've highlighted a couple here that are on this particular host block. So again, based on that seemingly innocent, copy that's on your website, if we had for free gay porn or adult blog finder, those kind of things could be construed, depending on the copy that's on your page, as potentially unsafe or naughty, quote unquote, types of websites. You might get lumped in with that. Yeah.
This only applies to shared hosting though, right?
Shared hosting.
It's not like VPS or VPS.
If it's VPS or dedicated IP, it does eliminate that problem. So for shared hosting, that is correct. Yeah. And what we find is a lot of people are on shared hosting. It's just the most economical way. For most hosting, you can find it for under a couple $100 for a year or two. Just over it for up to 3. One of the things that you do see on dedicated IPs, though, is that they are much more costly. So it's really kind of a give and take on what are you willing to spend on your website, whether you're on a shared hosting, or does it make sense to move to a dedicated IP where it's a little more secure, you don't have these kinds of issues.
We passed in out of the 10 minutes into the 5 minutes because there's been a couple of questions in here, so a couple John, 3 more minutes if you want to continue or if you want to go with the question.
Yeah, I just have one more slide here. One of the things that we look at is your Google Analytics. This right here can really tell us what if you are affected by a penalty. This is a really great starting point for it. In a lot of cases, you'll see a major dip in traffic, and then it just won't rebound. It kind of stays stagnant at that area. That's a really good way to assess that. Based on the date that occurs, we can, in a lot of cases, determine what algorithm we might have been penalized by and work towards that resolution.